Liberal people who think the left has gone a little mad with trans issues. Some have expressed that opinion with literary sophistication, like J.K. Rowling. Some by getting big laughs, like Dave Chappelle. And some are downright ugly about it, like Linehan. But ugly is the price of a freedom so great as speech. Get this, Saudi Arabia is having a comedy festival this month. Really, Saudi Arabia. It's gonna be great. If you on stage, you get 72 virgins. And Chappelle is performing. If you told me years ago that Saudi Arabia would be cool to have Dave Chappelle speak and England might arrest him, I would have said, what are you smoking?
If you think the attacks on J.K. Rowling and free speech are fading, think again. Over the past few weeks, a fresh wave has slammed the Harry Potter creator for her views, louder, more aggressive, and more intense than ever, until Bill Maher stepped in as a sworn defender of free speech, slicing the arguments apart with razor-sharp wit, brutal logic, and perfectly timed comedy. So hit subscribe and let's get going.
The most powerful witch hunters now were coming from Twitter, the Ivy League, and the progressive left. J.K. Rowling used to be a villain to the right because she wrote books about witchcraft. Now she's a villain to the left because she has the crazy belief that there's more to being a woman than pronouns and lipstick. So that was the point of the evening. How do we take a stand against cancel cult?
Maher opens by explaining why attacks on J.K. Rowling are suddenly coming thick and fast, arguing that nothing has really changed except one inconvenient fact. Rowling refuses to bend. She continues to stand by her belief that biological sex matters, that it has real relevance in women's sports and women's spaces, and that these topics deserve open, honest discussion rather than being declared off-limits. In today's cultural climate, Maher suggests that stance alone is treated as heresy. Online activists have once again escalated the pressure to cancel her, hoping that enough outrage, insults, and coordinated pile-ons will finally force her into silence. But Maher isn't buying it. Instead of scolding Rowling, he praises her backbone, highlighting how rare it is for a public figure to endure relentless abuse and still refuse to recant. To Maher, Rowling represents something increasingly endangered, someone willing to take the hits, stand her ground, and say what she believes, even when the crowd demands compliance.
Plenty of non-crazy people, liberal people, who think the left has gone a little mad with trans issues. Some have expressed that opinion with literary sophistication, like J.K. Rowling. Some by getting big laughs, like Dave Chappelle. And some are downright ugly about it, like Linehan. But ugly is the price of a freedom so great as speech. Trump tried to disappear someone for writing an anti-Israel op-ed in a student newspaper, which I found offensive, but I still would go to the mat for that person to be able to print it. And we can fight Trump on this because we have a First Amendment.
Over the past decade, countless people have paid a steep price simply for speaking their minds, and many are still paying it today, with careers damaged, reputations harmed, and livelihoods affected by online backlash and public shaming. Unpopular, uncomfortable, and dissenting views, not just the approved ones. That doesn't mean all speech is harmless or beyond scrutiny. Some statements can be genuinely offensive, reckless, or even criminal. But Maher draws a clear line. When speech crosses into illegality, it is the job of the law, not the mob, to respond. Justice, he argues, should be handled through legal systems, not viral campaigns driven by outrage and moral grandstanding.
Who others have tried to silence and who answered, "That's not a rule." Our first award goes to the president of my alma mater, Cornell University, Martha Pollack. This month, students there demanded trigger warnings before all the lectures in case any of the adult subjects you specifically went to college to learn about came up. And Martha said, yeah, no, we're not doing that. She didn't cave in or hire a new dean of sensitivity. She just said, no, college is for introducing you to new ideas, not for kissing your ass and making you feel wonderful and always right.
Interestingly, J.K. Rowling wasn't the only figure in the crosshairs of cancel culture. Maher also highlighted the case of a Cornell University lecturer who refused to sacrifice free speech on the altar of student sensitivity. When pressured to censor language deemed offensive, the lecturer stood firm, arguing that discomfort is not harm and that universities are meant to challenge ideas, not cocoon students from them. Invoking the First Amendment, he bluntly told students that hearing words they dislike is part of living in a free society, insisting that college is not a safe space from reality, but a training ground for it. Predictably, outrage followed, with critics demanding apologies, resignations, and punishment. But Maher sided with the lecturer, praising his refusal to cave, and arguing that the incident perfectly captures the modern campus problem, a generation being taught that personal offense outweighs constitutional principles, and that silencing speech is somehow a moral victory.
Trader Joe's, who for years have been selling a line of ethnically themed products, trading on the name Joe. For example, they have Trader Jose's beer. So, of course, one teenager on Twitter heard the word Jose and said it was racist, and then there was a petition, and then Trader Joe's management did the right thing. They burnt down all their stores. No, they didn't. They said, you oversensitive little shit.
If cancel culture is no longer just targeting individuals, it has now set its sights on institutions and entire companies. The moment a brand steps out of line with the latest woke orthodoxy, the outrage cycle kicks into gear. Hashtags trend, boycotts are threatened, and activists demand public repentance. Not long ago, this tactic worked almost flawlessly, with companies rushing to issue apologies, fire employees, and promise vague internal reviews to appease the mob. But Maher points out that something has shifted. The fear is fading. A growing number of companies are beginning to realize that surrender never satisfies the mob. It only invites the next attack. Instead of panicking, some are choosing to stand their ground, refusing to apologize for imaginary sins or abandon their values under pressure. This emerging backbone marks a subtle but important cultural change. When institutions stop rewarding outrage, the power of cancellation weakens, and the mob is left shouting.